They started shooting, not at these elk, but they were shooting at something. And they were probably, the elk were 1,500 yards from me. Those people are probably 1,500 yards from them. But they were up on a hill. And they start shooting. Well, it makes all these elk turn and start coming towards me. Not like super spooked. They wanted to get out of there. Yeah. So they came help me. Yeah. They came towards me. And it's kind of weird because the whole time, Justin thought I was shooting. And he's like, what the fuck is he doing over there? And I'm like, dude, I'm suppressed. It wouldn't be like that. He goes, yeah, I didn't. He goes, I really didn't think about that till after. So Justin, and I texted him when the elk came out. I said, hey, the elk are out. So he gathered up. He had all the goats with him, 10 goats. And he gathered them all up. And literally, the elk are coming towards me. I don't know this, but he's coming up the hill. And when I cracked the shot, he's 50 yards behind me. I didn't know it.
Oh, shit.
So I'm coming up the hill. So we almost messed this all the way up. But the elk turn, and it's a weird turn. Like they're going to go back into the timber, which made no sense to me, but I didn't know he was right there. So I'm guessing the elk saw him.
Yeah.
And I'm fucking glassing each one of these bulls trying to find, I think there was 11.
Yeah.
May have been 12.
Trying to figure out which one's the biggest one.
Yeah, and they're not exactly holding fucking still. You know, they're shuffling back and forth and changing spots. Well, luckily the biggest two were the lead two.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Shoot to Hunt podcast, sanctioned by the Shoot to Hunt team based out of Post Falls, Idaho. And now, those of you listening, this is a moment you've all been waiting for. Sitting on your right hand, he's a hot listening, Starbucks drinking, target shooting, cream puff, Jake Boucher. And now, a reigning, a defending, undisputed, front-wearing, 6'5" people shooting, pony riding, yard gnome, Ryan Avery.
Crickets.
Faggot. It's time.
The effort.
It is making us laugh. That's not my favorite.
It's not my favorite, but the effort that he put into it, you got to give him kudos.
He did put good effort. I imagine him in here on the microphone here doing his announcer voice.
You know, a lot of people ask me if he's on drugs.
The answer is yes.
The answer is we really don't. We didn't test him, so we don't know. But there's
what do they call it? Like a fair something employer, fair chance employer or whatever. We posted that job up right here. We're looking for a part-time shipping guy if you guys are interested. I posted it up and it had at the bottom something about, you know, I think it had to do with felons and things like that. Like, do you give people like a fair chance employer? And we don't do there's no application. There's no
background check.
If you come in here and you look like you're not a pedophile, you know, and you must have a red beard. I mean, it's starting to seem like that.
Yeah.
That's not really true. But a lot of guys out there have red beards.
You got a lot of soulless people out there.
Soulless?
Soulless gingers.
Fuck.
Reaping souls.
Red beards make the best. Hey, Red Bearded Gunworks. Red Beard Gunworks is literally the name of a business.
Yeah.
And they build awesome rifles.
Fucking reaping souls out there. Yeah, so but if Luke would have came in with that beard shaved and that pedo mustache, I don't know if he'd have got hired.
If he would have come in with just the mustache, I would have literally asked him, dude, what the fuck is wrong with that? Like, is that your normal look, or are you just missing the rest of it?
And to add on to that, if we're going to throw Luke under the bus, we got to throw Red under the bus.
Yeah.
It looked like a homeless gay dude moved into your parking lot.
Good Lord. It's like this newer age Volkswagen bus, and it's all red.
Newer age? That thing's got to be from the 60s.
No, it's old, but it's not like the vintage. Like it's not the ones that, and maybe I'm wrong, Ray, you have to correct me later, but maybe it doesn't look like the ones that are worth money.
No.
It looks like the ones that people pay a little bit of money for. And it's running. You know, I don't know if he's a mechanic or what, but he's driving it like just in the mornings.
Can't back it up.
So I walked in yesterday. It was my first day back after a couple weeks of hunting. I said, Ray, what the fuck is that? I said, you're either a pedophile or a serial killer.
And this is why we don't have an HR department.
That's right. I'm the HR department. If you can make it past me for an interview, you're going to be all right.
We're also looking for a web designer.
For Shoot to Hunt. So Shoot to Hunt, unknown, two separate businesses. Shoot to Hunt needs a web designer.
Web developer, we should say.
But you need to be able to do the code.
Yeah, web developer, web designer, all in one. Know what they're doing, know WordPress, know SEO, know how to work with forums because you're going to be in charge of multiple websites.
It sounds, you shouldn't say no because it sounds like, no SEO.
You're going to have to know how to use and implement SEO.
Yeah.
Because, what?
What is good? Did you just walk in on a recording podcast?
Jessica's here.
What in the hell? This is her every other day off, her vacation day.
What? It's why you're here.
I had to drop off stuff.
Let us finish.
Anyways, we need most definitely WordPress, WooCommerce.
Yeah.
Know how to code, hopefully PHP, HTML5, and know SEO, know how to implement SEO.
And you must be able to work well under pressure, especially when Ryan and I are around, because we're going to call you names. We're going to call you out when you fuck shit up. And we let you know. I think that's actually a plus as a place to work, as a place of employment, to know exactly what people think of you and what's expected of you. I would enjoy the shit out of that.
And it's not like we don't take, our own criticism back. We're not like one-sided.
I just ignore them.
But we're just going to, you're not going to win.
Yeah. But it is a good team already. Yes. So we got Luke and Rhett, and of course Ryan and myself, and a third unnamed partner. We'll say that.
Yeah.
And it's a good team to start with. And of course, Shoot to Hunt is based within the walls of Salmon River and Unknown. And there's a whole big team of people that all love the same shit. So
yeah, and we have big goals, and we want to do some things. So
yeah,
if you're that guy, and you don't have to be.
Must be local, and you must be able to come work here every day as required.
Yeah, going into it before, we never really put the category that they have to be a hunter, but I think it does help a little.
I would say if you haven't killed any, fucking Luke got hired. I think he's only shot a deer with a 30-30 and he missed.
Yeah, I think he did. I think
he just told me a story that his dad has missed a couple deer on his property. And I said, that's because you're shooting with an AR and you fucking turned back in your real hunting rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rhett's like tactical. He's not a hunter.
We're going to get him to kill stuff, though. So I guess if you consider those two, the amount of animals between them,
a half.
It's really not required to be a hunter.
0.5 animals.
Yeah. You have to want to hunt.
And turkeys don't fucking count.
Yeah, it's true. You got to be able to walk.
Oh, I have killed 4. He's typing this on this.
He says, bish.
Bish. I have killed 4 deer.
Is that with the 30-30?
Oh, shit. We're looking for, this is a big ass, but we're looking for a place to go shoot some shoulder season elk, cow elk in Montana in January, February. If you know, even if we have to pay to play, just if you know a place, get a hold of us. podcast@shoothunt.com.
Ryan's basically obsessed with my meat processors, meat sticks. And he's trying to collect as much elk meat as possible.
He's got some nice meat.
Oh, so we just downloaded that protein tracking app,
Yeah.
And when you type in elk is like top 3 most protein.
Like per pound or per?
Yes.
Really?
Per ounce of meat.
What was number 1?
It's tilapia is above elk.
Fish?
Yeah, tilapia, the fish. But elk is like 42 grams of protein per cup or something like this. It's really high.
This sounds really like bougie, like elitist, but I feed it to my dogs a lot when I shoot a lot of elk.
Uh-huh.
Dude, they eat less, shit less. They look shiny.
Yeah.
They just look like top notch. So it has to be great meat.
Yeah, elk. If you have a good processor, just ground elk is real close to beef. I would say the texture is a little bit finer. Maybe it depends on how they grind it, but it turns out once you're done cooking it like taco meat, it turns out a little bit finer, and you can definitely taste that it's leaner.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's not like it's not a gamey taste at all.
I'd eat elk meat over everything, maybe, but bison. Bison's good. Good hamburgers.
That's something else we can do is go split a bison.
I shoot him in the face.
No, we want to put it on the wall in here.
Where?
Not in the room, but in the building.
We already have Forum's gigantic bear going to be in here. I don't know if he'll be able to. I don't know if we'll be able
Nose to butt,
fit.
it's 2.5 feet.
So if you're on the video, if you see the size of this computer, it'll sit right on top of it
Oh my
nicely.
goodness.
Or if you see this cool action game or this rear bag that they built, Reno Rifle Company built this, it'll be about that size of a bear. This will weigh more than the bear.
Yeah, it's pretty damn heavy.
It is.
Anyway, so we're here to talk about your Wyoming elk fucking monster. What you did the measurement yourself?
Nope.
So we'll subtract 10%.
I had somebody else do it, and it's somewhere, we've measured it twice, so it's somewhere between 335 and 341.
Okay. Well, you wanted a 340.
Yeah, and it doesn't look it. Like both me and Justin Stark were looking at going 310, 315, but it's super wide. It holds its mass. He's old. He's missing teeth. His ivories were basically at gum line. So I'll bring it in. I was going to bring it today.
How do they get? So it's basically he's an old fucking man, right? Does the rack size decrease as they get older?
Well, I do think they regress, most of them, and they keep their mass. They just don't grow the tine length.
And it's still dependent each year on how good the feed and whatnot is. The water levels, the feed has an impact on how big the antlers grow.
Moisture.
Yeah.
Moisture has a big impact, especially early on.
Was it dry in there?
I actually don't know how the season went. It was a really bad winter on the in the north or the southwest corner of Wyoming. That whole the whole western Wyoming got slaughtered on the deer and deer and antelope. Elk seem to do better because they are the supreme species, right, Robbie?
Sturdier.
Yeah, they're just fucking tough.
Wrote about Robbie?
Robbie did. We already argue about elk and deer.
Oh, which one's tougher?
Yeah, it's like mule deer are kind of like the wild sheep of the deer species. They're fucking weak.
Really?
Oh, fuck. They get a cold, they kill over dead.
I don't know, man. We've seen, they seem to be able to take a bullet pretty well.
Oh, I'm not talking about how well they take a bullet. I'm just talking about they can't take hard winters.
Okay.
Mule deer. And the antelope they had a problem with the freeze up and they couldn't scrape down to eat. But
Fuck, dude. I just saw this video of an elk is about halfway through a river crossing and a bear just comes charging out of nowhere behind him. And the bear basically gets on his throat and drags him under the water and drowns him. I don't think he killed him physically
Just
because
kept
he
him
bled
underwater.
out or something, right? He just literally drowned the fucking elk. And I'm sitting here watching this video, and yeah, we kill elk and we eat elk, but dude, that's a fucking harsh world. I felt bad for the elk. It might be like a sissy thing or something like that. And I know it's the way of the wild, but watching that bear come up behind this monster, like what you shot, right? Like this bear just comes up behind it and drags it under the water.
dude, I don't think, unless you're a sociopath, I think you should feel bad for the elk. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't love watching bears attacking elk and deer. I don't. And I think like this dude, he was probably going to die this winter because his teeth were low, ground down. He was missing teeth, and his body he had the biggest. I didn't get a lot of time to look at him, but he had the biggest rack of all I think there was 11 or 12 elk that came out. He was the biggest rack by far in that herd, but body wise, he was probably middle of the pack. He had a big sway back. His hide looks like shit if you look at the pictures.
Yeah.
Everybody else's hide looked really nice and sleek.
So a sway back, you're looking for like what, a dip between the hips?
Yeah, between the hips, his back had a big.
Not between the hips, between the rear and the front.
Like if on a horse, on the withers of a horse and the back hips, his back was swayed. Well, I have to give Luke the video because I fucking had the video all the way up to like a minute before I shot. And the camera cut off.
Oh, camera cut
because
off.
it was really cold.
Yeah.
But it's my fault. I shouldn't have left it on as long as I did. But I had it right to the edge of the shot and then it killed off. But he has a big old sway back. And long story short, I waited. I think I had 6 years of points, maybe 7. I bought the special tag, so it was the $1,200 tag. I had a different plan of going into. I don't want to give the mountain range because of the guy I'm with is. I respect. I don't want his privacy on it, but I had 7 points to draw. I could have probably drawn it with 6 regular. I just wanted to make sure I was going to get it. I was going to put him for a lot of places. I reached out to him and asked him about the points I had, what I could do. And he goes, well, man, I have this really good spot. If you want to come with me next year, you're more than welcome. It takes goats because I believe it's 9, where I shot the elk to the truck is 9.6 miles. And
I guess you just love that fucking 9 mile mark.
I must.
The one you shot with me with 9 fucking miles.
Yeah. And it's dude, it's not a straight, like you're literally it's like kind of looks like a W how we went in, because you have to skirt all this private. And he's been in there. They've shot an elk in there before. They've been into elk. They never shot an elk in this particular spot. And it would be really hard because there's a very prominent landmark in the video. I'll show you when I show you the video. It'd been hard to show the video and not know where it is. And not everybody will know it is, but you could find it on Google Earth.
Really?
But you can't get in there with llamas. You can't get in there with mules because there's a cliff band. And it's, I don't know, it's probably, I'm short, but it's probably 50-inch cliff band. To where a llama couldn't jump it because you're actually on ground. So imagine walking up to a cliff band. You understand what a cliff band?
Yeah.
And then you're on it. The ground is falling away from you.
Yeah.
And you got to jump. And you can see where elk do it, but you can see where they pace around for a long time before they do it.
Yeah.
They've like they're actually making it worse because they're wearing a big hole in the ground.
Yeah.
So we had to literally take each goat and throw them up this cliff band.
Oh shit.
And imagine we had to do it both ways.
Yeah, then they're loaded down.
Then they're loaded down. So you can't physically, I mean, it's private land. You could drive to the place where I killed it if you had private access. But we killed it on, I think it was National Forest. Could have been BLM. But anyways, we have to throw the goats up there. So anyways, we went in the first part of the season. It was much colder. It was -10 at night, high of 6 during the day. And we went in for 4 days, sorry. And I'll send the video to Luke. You guys have seen it. We found lots of bulls, and you guys were hemming and hawing that I didn't kill any bulls.
Elk watcher.
Dude, there was nothing over there over 310, 315 that I thought. Maybe there was. We may have misjudged a few.
I know there's plenty of listeners out there with me right now that would say, "Oh, it's only a 310, a 320."
They were all 6 points. Every one was a 6 point. It's hard to walk away from that. And we walked where we were walking in right before we get to where we camp. Dude, I ran into 3 good 6 points. Like they were on the easy side before the cliff band that I could have killed. That's one in the fog I had
You
posted
didn't
up.
tell me this before.
I showed you the ones in the fog looking at us. But we didn't shoot those ones, and that's 6.5, 7 miles in right there. And the kicker to all this is it's uphill the whole way out.
The whole way out, yeah.
Yeah, it's an absolute ass kicker for a fat guy. And in retrospect, during Cody's hunt, we talked about now he's going to be my son-in-law. He asked my daughter to marry him. Cody, we took a hunt. We'd have a video coming out. Well, I fucked up my Achilles.
Do you remember how it happened?
I don't. I just remember when I got in the truck with Luke to drive back to North Idaho from Southern Idaho, when I got out of the gas station and I went to take a step, it was like a lightning bolt shot up to my butthole from my Achilles. And I was like, there's something wrong with this. So I dealt with it. Anyway, I dealt with it on this hunt coming out. And then I kind of fucked up our whole Montana deal because I was like, well, it's going to be better later. We thought it'd be colder, more snow. That turned out not to be true. So
we still got into elk, which was nice.
I'm talking about on the Wyoming side. We thought it'd be colder later for both of them, actually.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And it didn't pay. It was fucking one of the warmest Novembers on record.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's super warm.
Well, it was very nice camping and shit, right? But it was horrible for elk.
Yeah, but we were up there that one day. It was like sunbathing. We were all napping. Yeah. Fucking Jake was snoring, sounded like a bunch of pterodactyls. But it was one of the hottest. Anyways, so I went for those 4 days at the end of October. Decided to go back 10 days later, which kind of put our elk. Didn't really push it because you guys went when you wanted to go, I think. Yeah. But we went back a second time thinking it'd be colder, more elk because it's kind of a winter ground. We're thinking there'd be more elk in that location. Walked back the 9 miles. There was elk there, just not as many because it was also like 50 degrees during the day. Not as many, but there was a few bigger bulls that had.
You still think you shot the biggest one available out of the two different weeks you went, or did you see one that might have been bigger?
I think we saw one that was bigger.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I shot the biggest elk that was in that group at that time we were over there. Because basically we're glassing at them from about 1.5 miles, 2 miles away.
Okay.
From this like high ground. And that's the commitment. It's canyon country. So you got to go down, I think it's 850 feet, up 850 feet. And then you got to basically go across this big plateaus and then find the elk. And I did that. We got there the night before. We glassed them up there. I thought we saw a bigger bull in that herd. And I left at 4:30, 5 in the morning by myself because he was going to glass it. Crossed the canyon, got up to the other side, and he had in-reached me. Dude, they were in the timber 10 minutes after, not daylight breaking, 10 minutes after he could see.
Oh, shit.
They made it into the timber.
Wow.
So that's when I text you guys that we found a big one. We're going to sit over here all day.
Yeah.
So we kind of dicked around all day finding the spot. And I wanted to make sure he had a chance. So I'm pretty sure they were going to come back right where they were because they weren't messed with. But there was a chance they could have came out on this upper ridge. There's this little tiny bench plateau like prairie. So he went and watched that. And I watched where we last saw him. And dude, they waited until 15 minutes of shooting light.
Just like those other ones in Montana.
Yep. They waited and waited. But the weird part is this is back in there. I never heard any shots. And there's a ridge line. So these elk came out and they were way far away from me. They were like 1,400 yards from me. And there's this ridge line, and I don't know what happened, but those people started shooting. People started shooting as soon as they came out. And I'm talking, we had 15 minutes before dark. They started shooting, not at these elk, but they were shooting at something. And they were probably, elk were 1,500 yards from me. Those people were probably 1,500 yards from them. But they were up on a hill. And they start shooting. Well, it makes all these elk turn and start coming towards me. Not like super spooked. They wanted to get out of there. Yeah. So they came help me. Yeah. They came towards me. And it's kind of weird because the whole time, Justin thought I was shooting. And he's like, what the fuck is he doing over there? And I'm like, dude, I'm suppressed. It wouldn't be like that. He goes, yeah, I didn't. He goes, I really didn't think about that till after. So Justin, and I texted him when the elk came out. I said, hey, the elk are out. So he gathered up. He had all the goats with him, 10 goats. And he gathered them all up. And literally, the elk are coming towards me. I don't know this, but he's coming up the hill. And when I cracked the shot, he's 50 yards behind me. I didn't know it.
Oh, shit.
So I'm coming up the hill. So we almost messed this all the way up. But the elk turn, and it's a weird turn. Like they're going to go back into the timber, which made no sense to me, but I didn't know he was right there. So I'm guessing the elk saw him.
Yeah.
And I'm fucking glassing each one of these bulls trying to find, I think there was 11.
Yeah.
May have been 12.
Trying to figure out which one's the biggest one.
Yeah, and they're not exactly holding fucking still. You know, they're shuffling back and forth and changing spots. Well, luckily the biggest two were the lead two.
Okay.
So and then this dude had a sway back, and if you look at his hide in the picture, it's all fucking ruffled up like he had a bad hair day. Yeah. And so I could find him easy. So I kept going through, and you know how it is. And if I had a rangefinder, we talk about having a fucking unit all in one. People say, well, I've always used a rangefinder and binoculars, and I've had no problem. Mm-hmm. Well, think about the extra step from going from rangefinder, binoculars to rangefinder to your scope. Yep. But the elk aren't, and elk usually are easier to shoot at than bears or deer in the rut. Yeah. So I'm going glassing them, ranging them, glassing them, ranging them, glassing them, ranging them. If I had to go between the three, that just tells you right there. It's just easier to have it all in freaking one time. Oh, yeah. One unit. Yeah. So I'm going back and forth. And I figure out these first two are the biggest. So then I'm really focusing on, and remember, it's also 10 minutes before dark. Yeah. So it's not easy to see. And they're at 900. When I first really started locking on to shoot, they were like 950, but they were not slowly, they were kind of like fast walking towards me. So I'm glassing, I'm lasing, and I figured out this was the biggest bull. And I was like, well, that's weird, because as soon as I figured it out, and I'm trying to video too, like, and I'll post a video, but I'm trying to video, and I'm going all three. And I have a beautiful shooting location though. Fucking, they can't see me. I'm like, I hate to use the word sniper because we are not snipers. Snipers are way more trained than what we're doing. But I'm like a fucking little sniper up on this hill. They cannot see. I'm like looked. And anyways, they turn. I'm like, that's weird. Why did they turn like that? Like they saw something where they saw me. Oh. And I'm like, well, it's now or never. So I lased them, and it was 7:10. And I got God's cartridge. So this sounds super,
a lot of people would not agree.
This sounds pompous. No, I was just arguing with Blaine about it. There's not a feeling when you're kind of getting this feeling with your rum and this new 6.5 you have, it's over. Like it's fucking automatic. Yeah. And I've shot and I've validated this gun, and I know and in my mind,
there's a lot of fucking prep work so that in that moment, you're going to kill him.
Yeah. And the wind was bringing it. That was another fact I didn't bring up. The wind was bringing it, and I was like, I said, I got to keep the shot. This sounds terrible too, but I've done this. I got to keep it under 1,000 yards because the wind was coming from my left to right about 15 miles an hour.
Like a full value.
Full value.
Really?
Full value. So I was like, I got to keep it under 1,000 yards. I thought it would die off a lot. Anyways, long story short, he comes the 710. I lays him, and I ran the Kestrel about 100 times before because I had like 2 hours sitting there, and it called for 1.1 mil. So I held 1 mil, and I freaking 1 mil left, and pulled the trigger, and heard the suppressor. Suppressors is the greatest thing, man. It's hard. It took Jake a long time to find any love for suppressors.
I'm still not fully convinced, but it's nice,
dude. Everybody, I didn't have nobody with me, but you can't. You don't have to have hearing, head protection if you're shooting in a group, if you have multiple people. But the biggest thing is you can hear that. Shawak.
Sounds good. Like it's not like a little, it's like,
yep.
Yeah.
So 710, I holding that middle left, pull the trigger, and I hear the whack, and I shooting God's cartridge. So I saw the impact. I literally saw the impact, racked, like that's what I mean. It hit, I racked the bolt. In that time, he like took a step backwards, like his whole body, like his ass end dropped a little. He took a step back. He went to take a step forward, and he just fell over.
Where exactly did you hit him?
So if you're looking at an elk and you see the big scapula, there's a V where the muscle takes the leg comes down, the joint's at a kind of like a 45-degree angle, and that hooks back down with the actual leg.
I only know the top of the crease.
Bring up see how he looked. We have a picture of him. See how he had a bad hair day?
Oh hell yeah.
He's just old.
Fuck, that's a big elk. It's either that or it's just a little garden gnome sitting behind him.
I'm actually standing up.
No, you're
No.
Oh shit! We're looking at the picture on Instagram where the rack is kind of sideways. You can see both branches, and then fucking standing up.
The scapula is there's a V.
Mm-hmm.
It's look a V going forward.
At the back top of it.
Well, it's underneath the scapula. I hit him right in that pocket.
Okay.
And it was weird. I don't think I've shown you, but it had a little tiny hole, no bloodshot. But it looked like a fucking hatchet came out the other side.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was looking at the other, and me and Justin were looking at it, we're like, did I hit it in the neck?
Especially if they end up laying down on the with the inside showing.
Yep, that's what
they look like they're dead there. There's no blood, there's no sign of nothing. You're like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, and I'm playing it in my head, is that the entrance wound, the nasty wound? Is that the entrance? I'm playing, no, he was definitely facing to the left when I shot him. And it's just a little tiny pinhole going in and a fucking hatchet coming out of his body.
That bullet must separate into two shortly after it enters.
It's at that. So me and go back and forth on this because I just seen death on these DTECs, and he has a little fear with thin skin, not elk, but thin skin. It had to tumble. How much carnage? So it could have broken half and still tumbled, but that tip had to snap off relatively early and start tumbling after it went through because it's not a big bullet. And I think it hit it doing like 2650, but it was, you can take a 300, shot a lot of animals, a lot of elk, seen a lot of elk get shot with big magnums. It's died as fast as any, I didn't hit a central nervous system. I didn't hit any real bone. It slipped. It didn't, obviously going in, it slipped the rib. It didn't hit any bone. Coming out, it hit lots of bones. But I didn't hit any, didn't hit a high shoulder, didn't hit it in the spine, but it acted like it was hit almost in the spine. And for a non-CNS hit, it was one of the fastest deaths I've ever seen from any gun.
Yeah.
And I'm not pumping that just because it's a 6UM. It's just the truth.
And did you dress them out? You were gutless?
Yeah, I
find myself doing that lately now that I almost want to go back to gutless just so I can see more of the damage on the organs. Because you don't get you get a somewhat large, exit wound.
You want to see gut. You're talking about gutting it.
Yes, gutting it versus gutless method. Because with the gutless method, you don't get to see the internal organs the way you should on an autopsy to see what the bullet did. Yeah, and it's always like a time thing to me because we had 2.5 mile back to camp, had to go through that cliff, all that shit. So it was like a hurry up thing. So we didn't look at the insides as well.
he blew out a shit ton of blood out of his nose, so obviously the lungs were involved.
Yeah.
I'm sure part of the heart was involved, how quick he was dead.
Yeah.
But literally, I don't know what that time is, but I shot, watched the hit, racked the bolt, and I'm not exactly for him on shooting, like just whack, 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 but I would have shot him if he was standing any way I could shoot him. Yeah. He was already on the ground. His legs were just kicking when I got the gun in.
6 millimeter bullet, 115 at 710 yards.
Yep. And the funny part is he was walking behind me, and his only comment was, "That was pretty quiet." And he bitched. He's like, "Damn, this is a long walk to get to him."
Well, he got there right in time.
Dude,
couldn't have been any better timing.
Could not. And I could not figure out why those elk turned.
Yeah.
And he was there. He was right behind me because he thought that I was the one shooting up on the hill.
Yeah.
And he's like, in retrospect, he said, we should have Justin on because he could tell his own story.
I was saying, sounds like a good dude.
Oh, great guy. Like, it just would not have happened. I can't emphasize that enough. Without Justin Stark, it's his spot. Mm-hmm. Without his goats. And that dude wasted 8 days with me to shoot this bull. So I appreciate Justin big time. I owe him. And I'll pay him back. We're already talking about he's putting in for some animals over here.
Nice.
But anyways, and then we have to pack it out 9 something. He could tell it better. I think it's 9. He said it may have been 10, but I think it's like 9 something miles.
Well, at least with that many goats, you didn't have to carry really gear weight.
No, it's just that freaking rack, man.
Yeah.
It's so cumbersome.
Yeah.
All I had was the rack and something else. I think your rifle. We weighed it. Yeah, I think it was like 50 pounds total I had. Felt like 800 by the time I got to the truck. But it would smack, and Justin was trying to cut out branches because we had to go through some kind of thick spots. That freaking rack was brutal because it was wide. Yeah. And you'd be catching, and one time there's this, I can't think of the name of the bush, but like I'd get stuck in between it, and I'd have to back totally out. And a couple times I had to get on my hands and knees and turn sideways.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, and then stand back up.
And all of this was a 30% torn Achilles.
Yes. So when I blew that, I went and we actually had it scanned now, and it's torn 30%. You know what? And I felt like a bitch when we were hunting in Montana. This is a side note, but when we were going up to look at Form's elk, dude, I like turned it weird, and it was not having it. Like every step felt like I was pulling on my butt muscle to my freaking bottom of my foot.
Fucking going up a steep hill. That was a steep hill. Going up steep like that, it's just cranking that Achilles.
And it was weird because I'd go up steep hills like over there, and we've already been up steep hills in Montana. But it like if it would just turn just right, it would do something, and it would go shing, and like it's a shock up your leg. Yeah. So, anyways, if you have peanut to the peanut gallery out there listening. 30% torn Achilles. They say no surgery. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Maybe there's a tendon surgeon.
Oh, it like. I don't consider myself like a pussy about things, but dude, when that happened, I don't remember how quiet I was and how long it took me to get up there. Yeah. But it was fucked after that point. Yeah. And then walking out with the elk. And I didn't have shit. The llamas had most of that, but I don't like there's no point to me whining while you're there about it because nobody can help you.
You have to get the fuck out.
Nobody can help you do anything. Yeah. And the next morning festivities, I was like, I can't really help these motherfuckers if this does happen. If they do kill elk, I don't even know if I can walk out of here. Yeah. But you don't want to whine to people. What's the point? Yeah. Yeah. Huh. So. Because we could have had a bad situation.
Yeah, you're talking about Montana.
Yeah, extra elk. Anyways, that was pretty much it. I mean, I'm not the greatest elk storyteller, but 2 things I learned is Wyoming is a beautiful state. It's got a lot of elk. It's good to have good friends. And God bless pack animals.
Yeah. You, what is the rule in Wyoming about, I think if you hunt elk and you're on national forest, you have to be with a local or something?
Hunt wilderness.
If you hunt in the wilderness,
yes,
you got to have a
resident or a guide.
Okay.
It's bullshit because they don't, it's a money thing. Idaho has as much or more desolate national or wilderness than Wyoming. I think it has more. I think Idaho has the most wilderness in the lower 48. And we don't have to have a guide. A non-resident can come over here and go hunting in the Selway or the Frank Church or wherever.
Or even in our spot in Montana.
Or in your spot in Montana. Montana doesn't have that law.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, I don't want people to get hurt. Grizzly bears. It's a fucking moneymaker for the outfitters, in my opinion. If I'm wrong, email me. Tell me why I'm wrong. But I don't think I am.
Yeah.
Why in Idaho and Montana you don't have to have one? They have grizzly bears. That's nothing. Oh, there's a lot of grizzly bears in those wildernesses. Well, we have grizzly bears. Montana surely
and
has
even
grizzly
then,
bears.
what is a local going to do for you for a grizzly bear?
It's just a way to make outfitters money.
Yeah. We had a listener email in, wanted us to talk about Fair Chase. Boone and Crockett. Is it Boone and Crockett Fair Chase?
I think it's Boone and Crockett or
Rules.
Pope and Young.
Pope and Young is what it was. Yeah. So I think we'll address that on one of these episodes soon. We're going to try to get a representative of Pope and Young or Boone and Crockett to kind of talk a little bit about it. But I did read it real quick. Luke sent a link. And it was interesting because it talks about, for bow hunting only, the use of electronic devices. And it basically said that you're not allowed to have a rangefinder on your bow. And I thought that was interesting because it didn't mention rifle hunting with a rangefinder. But there's really no way it would almost take away. You'd injure more animals than anything if you couldn't range the animal properly. Correct. I thought that was interesting. Like, why wouldn't you want a rangefinder on your bow if they made one? Why would they exclude that? It's kind of weird.
It is weird. In Idaho, like Garmin makes that 0.
Yeah.
That's illegal. But it's legal in Idaho because Idaho, you can't have any electronics in your scope or on your bow. So on your rifle, your scope on your rifle or your bow, there's nothing electronic you can have on there.
Huh. Well, we'll try to get a representative on and do an episode on that soon.
I have a lot to say about that.
Okay.
So yeah, we need to.
That'll be a good one. I told him get after it.
I just think that I won't go into what I'm going to say, but I think very strongly that way because I think
we just get to hear of so many animals getting injured. Like there's a lot of ways that we do hunts here in Idaho, whether it be muzzleloader or just archery in general. We hear so many stories,
dude,
of animals that are not recovered.
Archery is probably the worst. Oh, I can't do that.
Well, while you're looking for what you're looking for, we're going to announce the...
I was just going to say, archery is probably the worst stick bow hunters. Oh, dude. I did
You could talk shit because you were a stick bow hunter.
I did it. Shot some elk with stick bow. People won't like this. 90% of stick bow hunters should not be stick bow hunting.
No.
And every fucking year, and I'm not bagging on archery. Do whatever you want. Whatever's legal, I'm for. But these fucking archery guys that come out there in their high horse, I talk to... And this is not every archer, just the art. I know a lot of bow hunters. They're like, oh yeah, I stuck a bull. I didn't find it. Chances are that fucking bull died. Mm-hmm. So they're not these holier than thou people. Mm-hmm. They're sticking elk, and most of them aren't fucking punching their tag. They're going to go try to shoot some more elk. Mm-hmm. So I don't think we should throw shit on either side. Mm-hmm. I can tell you this, from me moving from archery, stick bow hunting, I am fucking far more confident in killing things with a rifle to 1,000 yards than I am with a bow 60 to 80 yards. Mm-hmm. I just am. That's what I practice. So whatever we don't need to go into all that. Whatever you're good at, don't put your shitty shot or your shitty practice, your lack of knowledge, lack of practice on me. But no. Talk about it.
That's about the fair hunting rule you're talking about. Yeah. Another episode.
Yeah.
For now, we have a winner like we do on every episode for a set of unknown munitions scope rings, either the Tika or the Premier. Jay Helfrich or Helfrich, Helfrich. Shoot us an email to marketing@shoottohunt.com to claim your prize.
Yep. Any rings, right?
Yeah, any of the unknown rings. We got the core ring. We have Tika, we have Premier. The Tika price point's $130. Premier price point's $195. We have another set of rings coming out called the core rings, which will be the same as the Tika rings, but Picatinny based instead of the Tika clamp. Same form factor, but for pick. Soon.
When's it coming?
We'll start on them pretty soon.
Okay.
Probably 6 months out at least for delivery.
And the date today is the 28th of November. And the rock stock
The 28th
of November.
Oh, I thought you said 20th.
28th.
Sound like 20. Oh, yeah, it sounded like 20th again.
28th.
There you go.
Of November. Motherfucker. I got to enunciate. The rock stock is still happening.
Oh, that's a good update. Yeah.
Is still, should be, hopefully should
We will
be.
have a drawing, a final 2-dimensional drawing in our hands today. If we say yes, they're going to send us some 3D renderings, but we're also going to get a 3D printed version of the stock before we go to production.
Yep.
We may have the 3D printed stock in our hands by the end of this week. We're going to gather up Form and Ryan and myself this weekend to feel it, approve it, maybe shoot it a little bit, despite Stocky's telling us not to. Put a 223 in that bitch.
He's saying there's a chance.
Let's see, and there's a chance. And if everything looks good and we say go, I mean, we're still on track for end of year deliveries, first deliveries anyway. And we'll get, as soon as we approve and have the 3D printed version, we'll do some different paint jobs on it, and we will put the pre-sale up. We're already selling rifle builds in the rock stock. Several of those came in during our sale and also last week. So guys are already putting orders in, but yeah.
We're excited about it. I know you guys are excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
We're moving as fast as we've never done this before. This is our first time go. Thankfully, Stockies is very accommodating because, like I said, we don't know what we didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And we did some things that we should have probably not done as far as time-wise.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. You don't need to email me. Like I said, that rock stock thread will be the first place we update.
Yes.
So there's no need to email me about the rock stock. I appreciate it.
When I get those pictures and shit and I build the product, the link will the pre-sale will go to the Rockside thread before anywhere else with some time to get your orders in. Because we kind of set a schedule of when we're going to have to cut off the first pre-sale. And then we'll determine how many molds to make based off that.
Mm-hmm.
And then cut that off until all the orders are filled. So if you're that person, of course, we have several people reach out in the email. I need 5 of those. All right.
Yeah, well, if they all buy, we're going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I can promise you this. There's not a stock like it on the market.
It's definitely going to look different.
It's a learning curve. If you follow Rockslide, you already get it. But we'll have some videos to go along with it to kind of educate the consumer.
And it will be, we will build a couple rifles on them and put a couple rifles in Stocky's booth at SHOT Show. So if you happen to be in that area, that may be your first opportunity to see and feel one in person. You know, if you get late on the order.
And I don't think I told Jake this, but I know a place that we can put those 2 guns at the Western Hunt.
Oh, the expo.
Yeah.
Nice.
We can put them in their booth.
Perfect.
So you can come fondle the rock stock. Because when you see it, you're going to be like, oh, is that going to fit me? Is that going to be? But I have a feeling once you shoot it, you'll be in love.
It's going to need to be shot. You're going to have to shoot it to feel it.
Yep.
Because it's going to look a little radically different.
Yeah. It's awesome. Mm-hmm. Anything else we missed?
I don't think so.
We're going to cover a couple more hunts after this, our Montana hunt.
Wyoming hunt video is nearing completion. He's got a rough cut right now, so that'll come out on YouTube soon with the podcast that goes with it.
Idaho,
that's what I meant.
Yep. Southern Idaho. Yep.
Yeah. And then you're not having a hunt video. We're just going to.
No, I should have, but we got to figure logistics. We're figuring out logistics because these fucking elk are heavy.
There is a video coming for the Montana elk hunt we just finished. Video guy was there for that. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
That's all I got. If you have any questions for us or you want us to cover any topics, get hold of us at podcast@shoothunt.com, and thanks for listening.